Tonight we are entering one group from the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Four countries, four flags, four different cultures, and four different football stories meeting in the same group. In this video, we will travel calmly through the countries of this group. We will not only look at the teams, we will look at the countries behind them, their cities, their food, their traditions, their famous places, their football history, and the important players who will carry their hopes onto the pitch. Because in the World Cup, every match is more than a score. Every country arrives with memory, identity, culture, and millions of people watching from home. So take a slow breath, relax your shoulders, and let's begin our quiet journey through this World Cup group. Spain is a country in southwestern Europe, a place of sun, art, regional cultures, old cities, coastlines, islands, music, food, and one of the most technical football identities in the world. Its capital is Madrid, a city of grand streets, museums, football nights, and royal history. But Spain is also known through Barcelona, with its architecture and Mediterranean energy, Seville with its flamenco and orange trees, Granada with the Alhambra, Valencia by the sea, the Sagrada Familia, the Balearic Islands, and many towns where history and daily life sit close together. To understand Spain, you have to imagine more than stadiums. You have to imagine paella cooked slowly with rice and seafood, tapas shared at small tables, tortilla española, cold gazpacho on a hot day, churros dipped in chocolate, jamon, and fresh seafood near the coast. You have to imagine plazas full of voices, narrow streets under the sun, white villages, old cathedrals, beaches, art museums, and evenings that seem to begin when other countries are already slowing down. Spain feels like a country of regions. Catalonia, Andalusia, the Basque Country, Galicia, Valencia, Madrid, and the islands all carry different languages, foods, rhythms, and traditions. This variety gives Spain a rich identity, where one country can feel like many worlds connected by history, art, and culture. This is the culture Spain brings to the World Cup. Football in Spain is built on technique, possession, passing, patience, and intelligence. Spanish football has shaped the modern game through its love of the ball. It is a style that values control, movement, small spaces, quick thinking, and the idea that a match can be won by rhythm as much as by power. The national team is known as La Roja, the red one, because of its famous shirt. Spain's greatest World Cup memory came in 2010, when the team won the tournament for the first time. That generation, with its passing, calmness, and midfield control, became one of the most admired teams in football history. Spain also carries legendary names like Xavi, Andrés Iniesta, Iker Casillas, Sergio Ramos, David Villa, Xabi Alonso, Carles Puyol, and Fernando Torres. Their era turned Spanish football into a global reference point for possession and technical excellence. And now, in 2026, Spain arrives with another exciting generation. Lamine Yamal brings youth, creativity, dribbling, and the feeling that something unexpected can happen whenever he receives the ball. Rodri gives the team control, intelligence, and leadership in midfield. Pedri adds elegance, timing, and calm passing. Nico Williams brings speed and directness on the wing. Fabian Ruiz gives balance and quality, while Dani Olmo adds movement between the lines. Unai Simon brings security in goal, and players like Marc Cucurella and Emerick Laporte give the team structure and experience at the back. In 2026, Spain arrives with confidence, but also with pressure. When Spain plays, people expect beauty, control, and technical football. The challenge is to turn possession into danger and talent into another historic run. So when Spain steps onto the pitch, remember this. You are not only watching 11 players, you are watching a country of sun, art, tapas, islands, old cities, regional cultures, football technique, possession, and La Roja trying to write another chapter in World Cup history. And now we move to another story from this group, a different flag, a different culture, a different football rhythm, another country, carrying its own history, its own flavors, its own places, and its own dream. Let's continue. Cabo Verde, also known as Cape Verde, is an island country in the Atlantic Ocean off the west coast of Africa. It is a nation of scattered islands, ocean wind, volcanic landscapes, Creole culture, music, migration, and one of the most beautiful debut stories of the 2026 World Cup. Its capital is Praia, on the island of Santiago. But Cabo Verde is also known through Mindelo, a city of music and port life, Sal Island with its beaches, Boa Vista with sand dunes and calm blue water, Santo Antão with green mountains and dramatic valleys, and islands where the Atlantic Ocean shapes daily life. To understand Cabo Verde, you have to imagine more than stadiums. You have to imagine cachupa, the national dish, cooked slowly with corn, beans, vegetables, and meat or fish. You have to imagine grilled fish near the sea, pastel com diablo dentro, corn dishes, and tropical seafood carried by island flavor. You have to imagine music in the streets, ships leaving the harbor, volcanic rock, dry hills, ocean light, and families connected across islands and across the world. Cabo Verde feels like a country of distance and connection at the same time. It is small on the map, but its people and culture travel far. Its identity is shaped by African roots, Portuguese influence, Creole language, island rhythm, and a deep emotional connection to music. Morna, coladera, and other sounds give the country a voice that feels calm, nostalgic, and proud. This is the culture Cabo Verde brings to the World Cup. Football in Cabo Verde is built on resilience, organization, and belief. The national team is known as the Blue Sharks, a name that connects the team to the Atlantic Ocean surrounding the islands. For many years, Cabo Verde was not seen as a World Cup nation, but slowly, through discipline, diaspora talent, and collective belief, the dream became real. The 2026 World Cup is historic because Cabo Verde is making its first appearance on the biggest stage in football. For a small island country, this debut is more than qualification. It is a national celebration, a proof that football dreams do not belong only to the biggest countries. And now, in 2026, there are important names carrying the story forward. Ryan Mendez is the captain and emotional leader, one of the most important players in the country's football history. Vozinha brings experience in goal and a connection to many years of national team memory. Logan Costa adds defensive quality and European-level presence. Roberto Pico Lopez gives the team heart, commitment, and a special diaspora story. Jamiro Montero brings creativity and midfield control, while Kevin Pina adds strength and balance. Gary Rodriguez gives experience and attacking movement, and Dylan Livramento, Jovan Cabral, and Nuno da Costa offer danger in the forward line. Under Coach Bubista, Cabo Verde arrives with unity and belief. It may be seen as an underdog, but it is not arriving by accident. It arrives with organization, patience, and a team that knows how much this moment means. So when Cabo Verde steps onto the pitch, remember this. You are not only watching 11 players, you are watching islands, ocean life, Creole culture, cachupa, music, volcanic landscapes, diaspora pride, and a historic World Cup debut carried by the Blue Sharks. And now we move to another story from this group, a different flag, a different culture, a different football rhythm, another country, carrying its own history, its own flavors, its own places, and its own dream. Let's continue. Saudi Arabia is a country on the Arabian Peninsula, a place of desert landscapes, sacred history, modern cities, old trade routes, and growing football ambition. Its capital is Riyadh, a city of wide roads, new towers, business energy, and rapid change. But Saudi Arabia is also known through Jeddah, with its Red Sea coastline and old historic district, Alula, with its desert rock formations, Diriyah with its heritage, the Red Sea coast, and the holy cities of Mecca and Medina, which hold deep meaning for Muslims around the world. To understand Saudi Arabia, you have to imagine more than stadiums. You have to imagine kabsa served with rice and spices, mutabak from street stalls, salig, dates, Arabic coffee, and grilled meats shared at long tables. You have to imagine desert evenings, palm trees, old markets, modern skylines, ancient stones in Alula, and the quiet power of the Arabian landscape. Saudi Arabia feels like a country between history and transformation. It carries Islamic heritage, tribal memory, desert culture, hospitality, poetry, trade, and a modern vision that is changing the country quickly. New cities, new stadiums, new tourism projects, and a fast-growing sports scene have made Saudi Arabia more visible in world culture and football. This is the culture Saudi Arabia brings to the World Cup. Football in Saudi Arabia is emotional, proud, and deeply followed. The national team is known as the Green Falcons, and when it plays, the green shirt carries national pride across the stadium. Saudi football has long been one of the strongest forces in Asia, with continental success, passionate clubs, and memorable World Cup moments. The country's greatest World Cup memory for many fans came in 2022, when Saudi Arabia shocked Argentina with one of the most famous upsets in tournament history. That match showed the world the courage, speed, and belief the Green Falcons can bring when everything comes together. Saudi Arabia also remembers older football heroes like Saeed Al-Awairan, Sami Al-Jaber, Majed Abdullah, and Mohammed Al-Diayea, names connected to past generations and historic moments for the national team. And now in 2026, there are important names carrying the story forward. Salem Al-Dawsari is the captain and talisman, remembered forever for his goal against Argentina in 2022. Firas Al-Buraikan brings movement and finishing in attack. Saud Abdul Hamid adds speed, energy, and international experience from the right side. Mohammed Al-Awais gives experience in goal, while Hassan Tambakti and Ali Al-Bulaihi bring defensive strength and leadership. Musab Al-Juwair represents a younger creative generation, and Salih Al-Sheri adds another familiar attacking option. Under coach Georgios Donis, Saudi Arabia arrives with a new voice on the bench and a clear challenge in front of it. The team wants to be aggressive, organized, and brave, not only waiting to survive against bigger names. In 2026, Saudi Arabia arrives with pressure, ambition, and the memory of what happened in 2022. It is a team trying to prove that one great upset was not the end of the story. So when Saudi Arabia steps onto the pitch, remember this. You are not only watching 11 players, you are watching desert landscapes, Islamic history, Arabic coffee, dates, Red Sea coastlines, rapid modernization, rising football ambition, and the Green Falcons carrying national pride onto the world stage. And now we move to another story from this group, a different flag, a different culture, a different football rhythm, another country, carrying its own history, its own flavors, its own places, and its own dream. Let's continue. Uruguay is a small country on the southeastern coast of South America, between Argentina, Brazil, the Rio de la Plata, and the Atlantic Ocean. It may be one of the smaller nations on the map, but in food, beaches, football history, and fighting spirit, Uruguay feels enormous. Its capital is Montevideo, a coastal city of old neighborhoods, wide avenues, markets, music, football culture, and life beside the water. Uruguay is also known through Punta del Este, with its beaches and summer energy, Colonia del Sacramento with its historic streets, Cabo Polonio with its wild coastline, and the long Atlantic coast that gives the country a calm but powerful identity. To understand Uruguay, you have to imagine more than stadiums. You have to imagine asado, meat grilled slowly over fire, chivito, empanadas, milanesa, dulce de leche, and mate carried and shared throughout the day. You have to imagine people sitting by the sea, old streets in Montevideo, beach towns, quiet coastal roads, and the simple ritual of drinking mate as part of daily life. Uruguay feels like a country of intimacy and pride. It is small, but it has a strong voice. It carries Spanish and Italian influence, gaucho traditions, coastal culture, tango and candombe rhythms, and a calm, everyday style that can suddenly become fierce when football begins. This is the culture Uruguay brings to the World Cup. Football in Uruguay is not just a sport, it is one of the deepest parts of national identity. The national team is known as La Celeste because of its sky blue shirt, and that shirt carries more history than many larger nations. Uruguay won the first World Cup in 1930, hosted in Montevideo, and won again in 1950, shocking Brazil in one of the most famous matches in football history. Uruguayan football is also known for Garra Charrua, the fighting spirit associated with courage, sacrifice, and never giving up. It means that Uruguay can suffer, defend, run, compete, and still believe until the final whistle. The country has produced legendary names like Obdulio Varela, Enzo Francescoli, Diego Forlan, Luis Suarez, Edinson Cavani, and many others. These players helped build the image of a small nation with a huge football soul. And now, in 2026, there are important names carrying the story forward. Federico Valverde is the central figure, a midfielder known for power, running, leadership, and long-range quality. Darwin Núñez brings speed, aggression, and goal threat in attack. Manuel Ugarte gives the midfield intensity and defensive bite. Rodrigo Bentancur adds calmness, passing, and experience. Ronald Araujo, Jose Maria Jimenez, and Matias Oliveira represent a strong defensive tradition, while Georgian de Arrascaeta and Nicolas de la Cruz bring creativity and South American rhythm. Under Marcelo Bielsa, Uruguay arrives with energy, pressure, and an aggressive football idea. Bielsa's teams are known for intensity, movement, and belief in attacking with courage. In 2026, Uruguay arrives with a familiar message. Never measure this country only by its size. Measure it by its history, its pride, its players, and its refusal to disappear from any match. So when Uruguay steps onto the pitch, remember this. You are not only watching 11 players, you are watching asado, mate, beaches, Atlantic air, old World Cup glory, Garra Charrua, and a small country with one of the biggest football spirits on earth. And that was one group from the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Four countries, each carrying something different, different languages, different foods, different songs, different histories, different football dreams. This is what makes the World Cup beautiful. It is not only about who wins, it is about how the world gathers in one tournament. A flag becomes more than a flag, a team becomes more than 11 players, and a match becomes more than 90 minutes. Now, when you see these countries on the World Cup screen, they will not feel like simple names in a group. They will feel like places, like people, like cultures, like stories. And tonight you learned one more part of the World Cup,